In today's episode, I will be speaking with Gillian O'Rourke, the president of the Eastern Shores Teachers Association, also known as ESTA. Gillian was born and raised in Elmer, Quebec. She attended Bishop's University, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Education in Elementary Education. In Gillian's words, "After graduation, I had hoped to get a job in either Western Quebec, the Eastern Township School Board, or in the Quebec City area. By the end of August, I still didn't have a job and was getting worried. I was offered a job in Chibougamau in northern Quebec and took it, figuring I could tough it out for about a year and then get a job somewhere where I'd be closer to my family. I ended up loving living in a small town in an isolated area, and to this day, I'm thrilled that I didn't get a job where I thought I wanted to live." In one of her teaching assignments in Fermont, she met her husband, Carl. From Fermont, Gillian and Carl moved to Port Daniel, where they now live and teach. Gillian has taught every grade level from pre-K to grade 6 and every subject except French. Gillian currently teaches 50% as a grade 1 English language arts teacher, which she says is her favorite subject to teach. The other 50% of the time, she is taking care of the ESTA members as their local union president since 2017. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome, Gillian.
Hi, thank you.
So, Gillian, please explain a little bit to the QPAT members what area the ESTA covers.
We cover almost all of Eastern Quebec, starting on the south shore of the St. Lawrence from Rimouski area, all along Gaspé Peninsula. We cover the Magdalen Islands as well. On the north shore, we cover Baie-Comeau, Sept-Îles, that area, as well as going up as far north as Fermont, which is on the Quebec-Labrador City border.
Wow, so quite geographically, that's a huge area.
A massive territory.
Yes. And I know you were a teacher prior to this, but maybe if you can explain a little bit what your journey was to becoming the local union president.
Well, it started out, I guess, my third year teaching when I was teaching in a very small school, actually in Fermont. And it was basically myself, two very part-time teachers, like they were teacher by the lesson, a few hours a week. So it was myself and a teaching principal. So it was pretty much, I became the union rep because I didn't really have a choice in the matter. And I'm so glad that that happened, because I don't think I would have necessarily fully chosen to get involved in unionism. But when I did, I found something that I was very, very interested in and very passionate about. So after about 5 or 6 years as a school rep, I joined the executive. I sat on the executive for about 6 or 7 years when our president decided that he was not going to run for re-election. There's a lot of talk. A lot of people said, "Gillian, you've got to do it. You've got to do it." And I was like, "Well, I'm not so sure about that." But with a lot of encouragement from a lot of other teachers, I did choose to run for union president. And I'm entering my 5th year doing the job, and I really enjoy it. It's quite a challenge. I'm 50% union president and 50% teacher. So right now I currently teach grade 1 language arts and ERC in the mornings, and then I finish my teaching time and I come home and I put on my other hat as union president. So it can be quite difficult to juggle sometimes. But I love it. I love both aspects of the job, having half teaching time, half union president time. I think it's great. It gives me an opportunity. I've always got my foot in the classroom, so I always know how teachers are really feeling, and I can completely relate to how they're feeling because I'm right there with them.
Wow. Absolutely. And yeah, that's not the situation for many of the union presidents. It depends where they're located. We met with Keith last week, and he teaches full-time, and you yourself, you 50% of the time, but generally speaking, a lot of the union presidents, they're working full time as union president. So I can certainly understand the challenge of doing both.
And actually, oddly enough, in our local, for sure, I'm the first elementary teacher to be union president.
Really?
For some reason, and in speaking with a lot of my my colleagues, it's far less common for elementary teachers to become union presidents than high school teachers. I think probably because elementary teachers already have a lot more in their workload and a lot less assigned presence, and so they tend to get less involved. Because a lot of it just seems that there's a lot less involvement on the part of an elementary teacher. And of course, being part-time in both, I'm still teaching 12 and a half hours a week. Yeah. So I keep busy.
Yeah, no doubt. And given everything that you know now, and it's interesting because it's almost like you didn't seek it out. The union found you. The union saw you and was like, okay, we're going to get her involved. The union found you, and it's worked out really well. But knowing what you know now, if you could share something that you wish more new teachers knew concerning the union.
Well, I think it's a lot of what I would love for teachers to understand is that what the union really is. My impression growing up and as a young teacher, I thought that unions were all about protests and picketing and strikes and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, that's not my thing at all. But that's such a small piece of what unions do. We're there to support people through all kinds of life changes, and there to support people sometimes in their most difficult times. And I love that opportunity. I mean, I don't love that people are suffering, of course, but I love the opportunity to be able to reach out and help people. And there's so many aspects to unionism. It's like an onion, you never stop peeling away. And the picketing is just such a small part of what we do. And it took me a while to understand that that's what it was, but I'm really glad that I do have that understanding now.
Absolutely. You're right. The picketing, it's when push comes to shove. It's when we're in those moments where we need to take things to the next level, but it's not certainly what you do every day. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, Gillian.
No, far from it. And yeah, I mean, that's, of course, the picketing is when we're at our most visible. A lot of what we do is behind the scenes, and many people don't even realize we're doing it. But we do keep busy all the time, all year round, negotiations or not. But I really do enjoy what I do.
This question, I was looking forward to asking it because I know COVID-19 has affected everybody, but in your case, you were working as a local union president, and on top of it, you were also teaching. And I can't even fathom actually what that must have been like to have to experience it on both levels. If you don't mind talking about that a little bit, and maybe if you'd be happy to share something that you learned during the whole pandemic that was actually perhaps a blessing in disguise, and maybe something that you let go of that you were more than happy to let go of, and it kind of forced you to let go of it, but it ended up being a very good thing. If you could talk about that.
Absolutely. So of course it was a huge challenge, especially in 2019, when COVID-19 first started and we first had the school shutdowns and all that. At that point in time, though, I was so glad that the schools were shut down because I was really working as 100% union president. Yeah. And so fortunately, I didn't have to do a lot on my teacher side of things, a few emails a week, and that pretty much covered what I needed to do. So at that point in time, I was hugely thankful that I didn't have both on my plate. Well, I did have both on my plate, but not fully. after the schools reopened, I was actually teaching online. The school that I was teaching at, when we reopened, out of 70 students, we had 1 student return. So I was teaching online, which of course was a huge challenge, but at the same time, I had a good understanding of what all the other teachers felt like, because I was right there with them. And well, we all got through it. I won't say it was my finest teaching moments, but we got through it. Last year was a lot. I was juggling a lot, and I did find it very difficult at many points in time. I think my saving grace last year was the fact that I had probably one of the best groups of students I've ever had. I had an amazing class, and I had these students who were just so eager to learn. They were such a rare group of students. They were so enthusiastic, and even on the most difficult days, they could make these comments that would just make me laugh. And that was, that was enough to get me through my day sometimes. So I'm very, very grateful to those students, because I don't think I could have done what I did last year if I'd had a very, very difficult group of students. I think it would have worked out very, very differently, and probably not in my favor. But fortunately, that wasn't the case. As for what I've learned from COVID-19, I think I somewhat had this inkling, but just the importance of taking time for yourself, living in the moment, not worrying about everything that's happened in the past, and not worrying about the future, and just the idea of taking time for yourself every day, whether it's a small thing, 5-10 minutes, just you time. And I think that's so important for everybody, adults, children, everybody, to take that you time. And like I said, just to live in the present. We have to forget about some of the things that have happened to us in the past, and not worry too much about what's coming in the future. As for something to let go of, I've been racking my brains on this one. And I'll be honest, in many ways, COVID didn't affect myself and my husband nearly as much as it affected many other people. We're very fortunate to live in an area that, comparatively speaking, was a lot less affected by COVID. When we were talking last year, when everybody had their different colored zones, we were green, sometimes yellow, but we didn't make it past yellow. So we didn't have the same kinds of restrictions that a lot of people had. So I really couldn't come up with something to say there. There's certainly things that we've obviously had to let go of, but there are also things that I look forward to starting again. Visiting friends and family, and traveling. That's my passion. So I couldn't come up with something that, was something to let go of and stay let go. But like I said, it affected me very, very differently than it affected a lot of other people. So,
well, it affected everybody in a unique way, for sure. Yeah. And in that case, then, when it does come the time to travel, what's your dream destination? Where would you like to go?
Well, it's funny. I'm going to age myself, but last year I turned 40, and it was also my husband's 10th wedding anniversary. And we had our dream trip booked for the summer of 2020.
Oh, no.
and it was a trip that I've dreamed about taking for about 12 years, which obviously got postponed. So I love to cruise. I love to visit other countries. And we planned on taking a cruise, leaving from England, going to Greenland and Iceland, down the coast of Newfoundland and Labrador, stopping in Newfoundland, stopping in Halifax, and finishing up in New York. So I look forward to the summer that I'm able to do that.
Me too. I want to hear all about it. That sounds phenomenal. Wow.
Yeah, like I said, it was our dream trip, and we'd been saving for a few years to go on it, but it wasn't meant to be. But I will be going on that cruise. One of these days I will be going on that trip.
Oh, and it'll be that much sweeter. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
And just as a final thought, if you'd be so kind as to share a message for teachers. I know I'm often hearing last year was very challenging, but I know this year is challenging on a completely different level. So as we're slowly making our way out of this pandemic, just a message you'd like to share with teachers at this time.
Very simple. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's lots of help out there in lots of many ways. Everybody goes through difficult times, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's at work. You're struggling with a student, you're struggling with a new course. Help is out there, and don't be afraid to ask for it. Unfortunately, part of my job as union president has been talking to teachers who have been on sick leave or are going on sick leave. And so many of them, part of what I'm doing is encouraging them to get help. Help is out there. Contact your doctor, contact your employee assistance program, your administrator, a colleague, a friend, family, your union. Help is out there, and there's no shame in asking for it, and don't be afraid to ask for it, because everybody needs a helping hand sometime. And I've been very fortunate in my life. I've had many people who've helped me along the way in many different ways, and there's certainly no shame in asking for help, and you should.
That's great advice. And Gillian, I have no doubt you probably can't even count how many people you are helping on with the job that you do and the way you live your life. So thank you so much for that. That's a great message.
Well, thank you.
And it was a pleasure speaking with you today. And I wish you a wonderful rest of the school year. Thank you for everything that you do, and we're with you.
Thank you, Julie. It's been a pleasure speaking with you too. And I look forward to seeing the final product and getting this out to our members.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.